24 years ago today, Newcastle United broke the world record fee to sign Alan Shearer. It was a sign that Newcastle United could compete with the very best in the world. But today, the dream of Newcastle United once again being relevant and able to compete with the best in English football and European football has been ended, as the Saudi PiF, the group who were going to buy the club, have pulled out. This one really, really hurts. 2020 will go down as one of the worst ever on record. A worldwide pandemic that's triggered a 4-month lockdown has, for Newcastle United supporters, been made marginally more tolerable with the news of an imminent takeover. Except that imminent takeover never actually occurred, and now it never will. Delay after delay in the ownership test by the Premier League has basically seen the Saudis get so fed up with the process that they've pulled out of buying Newcastle United. We'll never truly know what has gone on here, but the Premier League, to me and many others I think, appear to very much be in the pockets of Qatar and just seem paralysed to actually make a decision either way. And that indecision has led a willing buyer who would have happily pumped millions into one of their member clubs to cause them to walk away. It's an absolute travesty for Newcastle United. The Premier League should have lots of questions to answer here, but sadly they won't. I mean, who on earth is going to hold them to account? Nobody is. Their owners and directors test is clear, and the Saudis should have passed it. However, the Premier League decided to make the owners and directors test about other things. Now, I get that piracy in the Middle East and North Africa region is a massive issue, but why has that been allowed to stop an owners and directors test being passed? It is absolutely disgraceful that 18 weeks after starting, the Premier League never even made a decision. The truth is, they were never going to make a decision. This is the Premier League's ideal scenario. Delay, 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 and then hope that a tricky buyer pulls out. I mean, they really must have annoyed the Saudis to have caused them to pull out of this deal. This is a group of people who make multi-million-pound deals for fun. So well done, Richard Masters. Well done, Premier League. You've got your wish. And as ever, it's the Newcastle fans who are the ones who suffer here. Mike Ashley pockets a nice £17 million. The Premier League avoid having to make a tricky decision because, oh my goodness, imagine the Premier League having to make a tricky decision. And what do the fans get? The awful feeling of having a brighter future torn away from them, and the mockery of fans far and wide for something none of us had any control over anyway. Now, I wonder if we'll inevitably see the Saudis come back in to buy another club in a year or two and miraculously pass this test. If that happens, I will be absolutely done with football. And so what of Newcastle United now? Where on earth does the club go from here? Well, it leaves us in a terrible predicament, possibly as bad as it's ever been under Mike Ashley. We have a manager who is not Premier League standard, a manager who got extremely lucky last season, playing awful football for the majority of it, and who, quite honestly, is clueless. It leaves a paper-thin squad, lacking in quality, and an owner who doesn't want to be there. An owner who the Premier League are clearly more than happy to allow run Newcastle United into the ground. The fact is, Ashley is not interested, and that is so worrying for the future of our club. Now, we might have always assumed he's not that interested, but at the moment he's even less interested than he's ever been, in my opinion. And that is absolutely worrying, because when he was interested, we managed to get relegated twice. So what on earth is going to happen now that he's absolutely not interested? The only good thing from this, I think, is that we do know that Ashley does actually want out, but that doesn't help us this summer at all now. It means that we'll be even more underfunded than usual, and if we don't get relegated next season, it'll be one of the biggest sporting miracles of all time. Newcastle United are a shell of a club under Mike Ashley and needs a takeover. The club needs someone to come in and run it professionally. But how much longer must we wait for that to happen? How low is the club going to sink before that is allowed to happen? I've always said I don't care who the new owners are, just so long as they have ambition and run the club as a professional club should be run. Trying to win things and trying to improve themselves season on season. I'm not bothered that it's not the Saudis who aren't going to buy us. Clearly their money was very enticing, and this situation now hurts like hell. But honestly, I would happily take anyone who would invest and run the club properly. Not another Mike Ashley, but just someone who has the money behind them to properly fund the club and run it professionally as a top Premier League team should be. I don't want to hear the name Henry Morris ever again, because we all know that that is a load of nonsense. That's going nowhere. He will disappear off into the ether, never to be heard of again. We all know the potential of this wonderful, wonderful club we support, but for some reason it appears that Newcastle United disrupting the cosy club at the top of English football is not a welcome thing. Unfortunately, in a sense, this was all so predictable, but it's going to take a while to get over this one.